All right, Alana, Jaylo.
Yes.
It has been an interesting few days.
Definitely.
We are doing this on Tuesday afternoon of February 16th, 2021.
Yes.
And we did not spend the weekend together.
We didn't spend Valentine's Day together at all.
Which was the Sunday.
Yeah. Right.
Because Portland had some big snowstorms.
Yes.
We kind of covered that the last time we talked.
Yeah, and and this has been happening for the last 5 days, but I think we are on the road back to where it was before the snow.
That's what the weather is saying.
Yeah, and it feels like it's getting warmer, actually.
It does.
Which is great.
But it's kind of hard for me to tell. Yeah. Because what happened was there was an ice storm on Sunday night.
Mm-hmm.
I'm up late watching like old Quentin Tarantino interviews on Charlie Rose and Tom Snyder.
Mm-hmm.
Then I go to bed around 1 a.m. and around 3 I hear this huge explosion.
Mm.
It was so crazy that I literally like jumped out of bed before I knew what I was doing. I started screaming.
Oh, really?
Yeah, for like a second, and then I realized what's going on.
Yeah.
Checked around my apartment and nothing's working.
Mm.
The power is out.
Yeah.
Excuse me. The day before, when I was watching the local news, people were already reporting power outages.
Ah.
And a representative from PGE was saying it might take up to 10 days for people to get their electricity back.
Oh, geez.
So I was already thinking, this is kind of weird, but it sucks to be these people. I'm glad it's not me.
Uh-huh.
Then when I went out yesterday morning, I was just like going crazy.
Uh-huh.
I had to throw pretty much all my food away that was in my fridge and my freezer.
Yeah.
And it was very, very cold. So I haven't been eating a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So I invited myself over here.
You invited yourself over here.
I'm like, I'm coming over.
I did not invite this person over here.
Oh.
No. I figured that because I knew it was at the last minute, I figured, okay, this is really, really an emergency. You have to have a place to be until your power is on, because I don't want you to have power and not eat anything.
Not have power, yeah. Because it's like I can deal with the cold.
Yeah.
But it was hard to handle the lack of food. For example, this morning I had a couple of chocolate chips that I was planning to use for a cake and some water. Oh. And that was it, right?
Oh, jeez. Yeah.
Yeah, yesterday, because I made curry this weekend, I had a bowl of cold curry and like an energy bar.
That sounds terrible.
It was.
Curry was just...
I mean, it's not as bad as it could be, but I definitely prefer curry to be heated up.
Absolutely. It tastes better heated up, yeah.
Yes. So, this morning they were saying on the news, I should say that I have internet access through my cell phone, and I thought I had to charge it on Sunday night before all of this happened, on the off end that something might occur.
Right.
And it's a Motorola phone, which has a big battery.
Uh-huh. Good.
So, luckily, I know how to conserve that type of stuff.
Good.
I checked the news this morning, and they were saying, okay, we're pretty much past the worst of it, but be mindful if you have to go out today.
Mm-hmm.
We had discussed last night about, hey, we got to come up with a game plan for this week because I don't want to starve to death, and I know you want to eat. And an issue you were having was getting food delivered.
Right, because one order was I had to cancel it on Friday, and then my other order was supposed to come Sunday morning, and that was rescheduled for today at 2, but it's supposed to come later this evening.
First, it was supposed to come earlier, wasn't it, today?
It was supposed to come at 1.
Okay.
Or by 1, rather. And then it was supposed to be come by 2. And then the good thing is that you were here, so you checked the app, and it said it's supposed to be here by 6:30. So I'm like, oh.
Yeah, but I was getting a little nervous talking to you on the phone because you're getting low on food.
Right, right.
And besides for having to throw away things that were in my fridge, I have plenty of canned foods.
Yes.
And I'm a little upset that I didn't bring more, but I wasn't sure what to pack in this situation. Because I almost brought a couple bags of beans.
I do have extra rice, by the way.
Oh, good.
I do have extra rice that in a bag, and then I have some rice in my container.
So we were talking throughout this morning.
Yeah.
I came over. What was it? A little bit after 2.
Roughly, yes.
Yeah, I had a really good Lyft driver. So I put in my request. I go downstairs and I realize that there's construction at the exact spot I told this guy to meet me.
Yeah.
But I try walking and he pulls up and I apologize and he's like, no, I know this area. It turns out his dad lives down the street from my apartment.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and he said, we're good.
Oh.
I got in the car and we started talking about movies, and he was telling me his experience with his husband and how they like to watch MCU movies. So we were going back and forth about that. Really, really nice guy. Get here and I am starving.
Uh-huh.
I'm so hungry I could eat a vegetable, as Al Bundy once said. Except I actually enjoy most vegetables.
Yeah, vegetables are good.
Yes. So I'm like, babes, we're getting pizza.
I was like, okay, fine with me.
It came fairly fast.
It would, that's what I like about this Domino's, and I think that they're my go-to if I really want something. One of my go-tos, because not only do they pretty much get me everything that I ask for, but they're really super, super nice. Super nice.
The only weird thing was, I guess because they'd come here before for you.
Yes.
I had just opened my account with them,
mm-hmm.
and they still called you. So when you're like, oh, let's go downstairs now, I'm thinking that your Instacart order got here. And so I start saying, well, but should I stay up here for the pizza? And then you had to explain that they called your number.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
I said no. I said no because we have 3 pizzas to carry, and I can't carry those.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It was good. We had some good pizza and some
Parmesan bread bites.
Yes.
And you suggested that we could probably make them, but better.
I had not had their Parmesan bread bites before this afternoon.
Me neither.
I thought you had.
No. Remember I said I don't know why I haven't ordered these before.
I missed that because I was just stuffing my face.
It was really good.
Okay, because when we were ordering, I said, hey, do you want these? And you're like, oh, yeah, that sounds good. I think we could definitely do a better job.
Yeah, it did sound good, but that's because they sounded good and I never had them.
Mm-hmm.
And it sounds really delicious. So
I think we could kill it with the Parmesan bread bites next week.
Yeah, make a garlic sauce, stuff it with some cheese maybe. I don't know.
What we could do, babes, I'm just thinking off of the top of my head. We could buy a thing of, I don't know, maybe some blue cheese and form the little balls around the thing of blue cheese. Then cover it with some garlic butter sauce.
Yeah.
Hit it with some herbs and cook it.
Yum. Like some rosemary?
Yes. And I believe, this is just what I got from the taste. I could be completely wrong. That it was probably made like earlier today, or they probably make them in a bunch and freeze them.
Yeah.
But we'll be making the dough like the day of.
Yeah.
So it'll have a little bit more flavor.
It'll be really good, yeah.
Yeah. That's my thought on it, babes.
Good thought.
Thank you, babes.
Yes.
So I had a interesting night last night, just hanging out.
Yeah.
I have an old phone that I put music and stuff on, and I was looking for podcasts. And all I could really find was, surprise, surprise, some episodes of The Howard Stern Show from 2000, from February of that year. So roughly 21 years ago.
I can't believe it. Ugh.
I know, it made me feel so old.
I mean, I know it seems like it was just yesterday for us.
Yeah.
But it's like, I can't believe 21 years just passed, just gone and went.
Well, it's weird because did you ever watch his show, Son of the Beach?
No, I heard of it. I heard of it, but I never watched it, no.
It was just about to go on the air, and he was talking about it and interviewing cast members. And it took me back because I remember the night that the show first came on and watching it with my girlfriend at the time. And I just remember thinking, oh, this is so weird. I remember when the show came on.
What was it? What was the premise?
It's kind of like a parody of Baywatch.
Oh, really?
And it's about this lifeguard named Notch Johnson. There's this other lifeguard named B.J. Cummings.
Oh.
And she...
I heard of the show, but I think I've heard the name.
Yes. She got her nickname from the men's volleyball team.
Of course.
There's Jamaica St. Croix, and there are just these people patrolling the beach. There's an
Jamaica St. Croix.
Yes.
Okay.
And, played by Lila Arcieri, who is in a bunch of Ice Cube videos.
Oh, wow.
And there's this evil mayor and her son, Cody. which is, if you're a Howard Stern fan, he used to have a beef with Kathy Lee Gifford because he put her son Cody in a bunch of stuff.
Oh, I see.
So there's if you're a fan, there's all these little inside references to his show.
Was that in on Fox?
It was on FX.
FX, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But anyways, so I got to do that. The one thing I didn't get to do though was copy movies to my phone. Because when the power went out, I didn't know mine was going to go.
Yeah.
And two, I thought we would have until like Friday before I have to worry about that. Or maybe Wednesday, actually.
Uh-huh.
So I don't think I talked about it here. This is a bit of a side tangent, but roll with me.
Mm-hmm.
I am a big Quentin Tarantino fan. You know this from Jackie Brown, from Dusk to Dawn.
Yes.
And some other films.
Yeah. After
Jackie Brown, he went about 5.5 years without directing a movie.
Uh-huh.
In 2003, my sister is visiting in Kona, and she says she wants to go and see Kill Bill.
Uh-huh.
She told me it's Quentin Tarantino, so of course I'm in for the ride.
Yeah.
Didn't know anything else about it, but you say to me at that time, Quentin Tarantino's new movie is out.
You're going to see it.
I'm going to go and see it.
Yeah.
And I was very disappointed because of the amount of subtitles.
Oh, wow.
Which takes, obviously, me out of the picture as a blind person.
Of course. And it would take me unless I knew what was actually said.
Yes. So, there's this whole time where I didn't watch a lot of new Tarantino movies because he did Kill Bill.
Mm-hmm.
The next year he came out with Kill Bill Volume 2. He did a film with Robert Rodriguez.
Yes.
It's kind of like a double feature, Death Proof.
Right, okay.
And
not the one that we saw.
No.
Okay.
It's interesting. And then he did Inglourious Bastards in 2009, which had a lot of subtitles.
I heard about that movie, yeah.
Finally, in 2012, he does Django Unchained, which may have had 1 or 2 lines of subtitles, but was mainly in English.
Yeah.
Right? So basically, I go from Jackie Brown to, like, Django Unchained, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's like almost 15 years without being able to watch one of your favorite directors.
Wow.
I mean, you could say Death Proof, but I don't know. I don't know if I count that or not.
Uh-huh.
In any event, I've always wanted to give Kill Bill another shot. And I have also always felt, as a film fan, like I'm a little bit deficient because I can't watch foreign language movies, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then the other day I had this thought of, well, I know that there are all these sites with audio descriptive movies.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I could search for some audio descriptive foreign films.
Mm.
And obviously we tried with Seven Samurai.
Can't find it.
Yeah, we saw how well that worked out.
I know.
But then I thought, why don't I see if they have Kill Bill? They probably don't.
Uh-huh.
So this is Saturday morning. I see they have volumes 1 and 2. I've not seen volume 2 yet, but I downloaded them both.
Mm-hmm.
And I watched volume 1. It was on the screen with the sound down while I listened to the audio description of it on Saturday.
Right.
That is a long-winded way of saying, because I downloaded those onto my phone, I have both Kill Bill volumes in descriptive, and I also have In the Company of Men on my phone.
Wow.
But nothing else we were planning to watch.
Right. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That was a long-winded way of saying it.
But I wanted to give some, explanation.
Some context, yeah.
Yeah, instead of saying, hey, I have Kill Bill. It's a Tarantino movie. We're blind and we're going to watch it.
No, I understand.
How do you feel about our lack of entertainment tonight?
Well, I don't think we're completely lacking.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely not, we were planning on watching 2 movies, but it's okay. It's at least we are able to watch 1 movie. It's better than no movie, right?
Yes.
And even though we can't listen to music, we can still talk, and we talk a lot, so it's not a big deal.
My phone does have a built-in FM radio on it.
Yeah.
So we could potentially listen to KMHD.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, Hugh. Whoa.
Yes, I love the jazz on KMHD. It's really good.
I like it a lot too.
I really do, and there's no interruptions, and it's just fantastic. Great.
Yeah,
Great.
Boy, good stuff.
Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff.
Did we say that your internet is out?
Well, we're saying it now. So I have power, but my internet is out, which is strange because usually if I didn't have power, I wouldn't have any internet. But I guess there's something possibly wrong with the wiring outside because a lot of people's power is out as well. I always wondered how they fix power lines like that. I wonder how they're repaired.
I don't know. I will tell you, I think the transponder thing they use at my apartment actually exploded.
Oh, no.
Because I heard this huge bang and then I said everything was out.
Yeah.
When I watched the news on my phone, which is where you have power and no internet, and I had internet, no power, they were saying that a lot of transponders around the city were exploding.
Whoa.
So I imagine that makes it a little bit more complicated than just a fallen wire.
So does that mean that they're going to have to get new transponders?
I don't know if you know this, babe. I assume so, but they apparently have been flying repair crews out from all over the country.
Wow.
Like, we're not just depending on local crews.
Uh-huh. I think you told me that, yes.
Yeah, so they're coming from all over the place because this thing is so huge.
Wow.
Yep.
Because I usually, for the snowstorms that I've been in, we've never had power outages where I was living or where I was staying.
I've experienced them before, but...
Yeah, but not quite like this.
Not quite like this.
Yeah.
Yes. We did, babes, on Sunday, before I lost power. You and I decided to watch 2 movies over the phone.
Oh, that was interesting.
That was interesting because you were doing the scriptive and getting a little bit ahead of me.
I was, so that was really hard, okay? And I have to say I apologize for that, but that was really, really hard because I use a program called Winamp, and sometimes Winamp waits for nobody. So
I didn't mind you being ahead of me. I minded you bringing up stuff that hadn't happened.
But I stopped after you told me after a while. I did.
I did tell you a few times before you stopped doing it.
It wasn't a few times.
Yes, it was.
It was like at least a couple.
At least a couple times, yes.
At least a couple. But then I stopped, didn't I? And then you were getting all predictable stuff. It's like, would you just watch the movie?
We were talking about a movie that I had never seen before. So for all I knew, I could have been wrong.
Yeah, but you didn't have to say whether or not you thought this was going to happen because it just takes out of the...
I will say this. I got one prediction wrong out of the maybe 12 that I made. So it's only like a, 95% accuracy rate. Let's talk about the, what are you doing there, Jaylo?
Oh, there's some things in my box that I'm arranging.
With your box. Ow, what's that?
It's my comb.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Hey, don't knock on my head, okay?
All right.
We watched a movie that you wanted to show me, and one that I wanted to expose to you.
Yes.
You showed me The Wedding Planner.
Yes.
And I showed you About a Boy.
Yes.
Why don't you describe, since you know, why don't you describe The Wedding Planner, and then I'm going to take the lead on About a Boy.
Okay, so this is a pretty straightforward premise.
Yes, it is.
Jennifer Lopez works as a wedding planner, and she really, really wants this account because the Donnelly account, that's the account that she wants. Francine Donnelly is a woman who's getting married, and she's pretty loaded. Her parents are pretty loaded.
She's a rich biatch, as Snoop Dogg would say.
Of course.
Sorry.
Stop interrupting me, please.
Okay, sorry, I don't know.
Oh, jeez. Don't mind me, I'm putting some lavender oil on. It's been really working, too.
Oh, nice.
Anyway, so she's, she is trying to get established here. She really enjoys her job. She's got this, weird friend, named Penny. She's not exactly the sharpest tool in the shed, but she means well. And she's played by Judy Greer. Are you familiar with Judy Greer?
I am not.
Okay.
I know that she played Penny in The Wedding Planner, but that's all I know her from.
Okay. I've heard of her, but I just don't remember. I know who she is, but I just don't remember what else she's played in. But anyway, So that's kind of funny. And so she wants to be partner with her boss, Jerry, because she said, I've got the skills. You need me to get this thing up and running. You need my help. And she's like, well, anyway, so all these things are happening. She's walking down the street. She's wearing these really nice Gucci shoes because she can afford it. And she gets her Gucci shoe stuck in one of those like manhole covers, I think. And she almost gets hurt because the dumpster is coming towards her. It's rolling towards her. She's stopped by Matthew McConaughey, who happens to be a doctor. And we'll go into a little bit of his character later on. So this doctor helps her. She wakes up in the emergency room in the doctor's office. These kids are pretending to be her doctor and put her in a neck brace.
I will say this: I did enjoy that.
That one was really funny.
That was a good scene.
She's like, "You're at St. Vincent's Children's Hospital. You're at the children's ward. Please don't talk." And she has the neck brace on, and she's like, I'm paralyzed. The doctor comes in and scares the kids away because he likes kids. He's a pediatrician. And so everything is good on the scans, and everything comes out really well. And so Penny comes to see her, and she's like, ooh, this guy's really cute. And so she's like, what are you doing tonight? We're going to go to Golden Gate Park. Maybe you want to meet us there? And as they're walking out of the office, she's like, Penny, what are you doing? She's like, I know what I'm doing. This is for your own good. They go to Golden Gate Park, which is really cool because there's a movie. They're playing movies on a big sound screen. And so Penny and Jennifer Lopez's character, her name is Mary Fiore, she plays an Italian in the movie, which I'm not quite sure why. That's how I saw it. But she is left alone with Penny because Penny's like, oh, I gotta do something because my grandma is whatever it is she said. I can't remember. She makes this lame excuse.
So Penny leaves
Yes.
Jenny Lopez alone with Matt McConaughey.
Yes.
Nice.
And they end up dancing together. It's pretty obvious that they're attracted to each other, but neither one of them wants to admit that. She invites him to the Scrabble tournament because she's really into Scrabble, that she plays with her father and this other guy named Bert and this other old lady, which I don't remember what her name is. So they're at the Scrabble game. They're at the Scrabble thing where she learns that her this kid who used to eat mud, who is from Italy, is supposed to be her fiance.
Didn't that happen before she went on the date with Matthew McConaughey?
Was it?
I think so. I could be wrong though.
Oh, let me think. No. Okay. I think it was after.
Oh, okay.
Because remember, he shows up again in a different scene.
Gotcha.
Right. So she's like, ugh, this is horrible. And the guy who plays Massimo is really funny, I think. I don't know what his name is, but he was super funny in that.
Massimo is the dirting guy.
Yes, the mud kid, yeah.
Mud kid.
Yes, the kid who ate mud.
Yes.
And so she's like, I can't believe this. What is this? And she later finds out that her father had an arranged marriage and that he grew to love her as time went on. And he says, maybe you should give Massimo a chance, right? And this is, of course, before her tournament. She meets up with Francine. Somehow she's able to get the account. and they're trying to come up with the details of the wedding, and and she gets to know her, and she tells her that she's met this guy, and I know I'm kind of skipping around because I keep getting some scenes mixed up here.
It'll give people inspiration to see the movie for themselves.
Yes. So this is interesting. So I guess I should say this. Francine and Mary and the parents, they meet at this dancing thing, right?
Yes.
And she says, "Oh yeah." After she tells Francine about this guy, she's like, "Oh yeah, you'll get to meet my fiance Eddie." He's like, "Mary, this is my fiance Eddie," and it turns out to be Dr. Steve Edison, who is played by Matthew McConaughey.
I did not see that one coming. Complete shock. I did see that one coming, and I predicted it. But
yeah, you predicted it too much.
Anyways, keep going.
I don't know that you didn't see that coming.
I absolutely saw that coming. Now keep going.
How did you know?
I knew that before we saw the movie. It's called The Wedding Planner, and Jennifer Lopez is in that with Matthew McConaughey. And I figured, well, of course, it's going to be one of those things where she's planning a wedding.
All right.
Keep going.
That's enough.
That's enough out of me, Jaylo.
That's enough out of you. Anyway, so this chaos starts to arrive. Franny doesn't know anything that's going on. She didn't even put 2 and 2 together because she's so busy with the wedding. She doesn't have a clue as to what's going on. They decide they want to meet on Saturday again, not just to eat and go over the details, but they want to go horseback riding, which is kind of interesting. So I'm not sure how they did this. I can't remember if they were on... If 2 of the couples were on 2 horses at a time,
everybody had their own horse.
Okay.
Yeah.
But the horses were riding next to each other.
Correct.
Or walking next to each other. Okay.
Yes.
I see. Okay. I was like, well, they couldn't be fitting on one saddle. So needless to say, Mrs. Edison, who is Dr. Steve's... No, I'm sorry, not Edison. Donnelly. Mrs. Donnelly is already drinking because she's got this, major drinking problem. And so is her husband. Because they're, rich uppity-ups, right?
Yeah.
And they can drink as much as they want to because they can afford it. So
this I actually did like.
It was kind of funny.
Stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, it was funny. And he kept calling her wedding woman, which I thought was kind of funny.
That made me laugh.
So wedding woman. I thought that was really really funny how he was being very casual with her.
Yes.
Wedding woman. And
yes.
He could have called her Miss Fiore or something, but
or Jaylo.
Jaylo. Well, no Jaylo's in there. Oh yeah, there was
a Jaylo in there. You're still fiddling with your box, babes.
I'm arranging some things, but
okay.
Never mind that.
Okay.
Never mind it. Okay. Anyway, so as I was saying, so they're having a good time. They're drinking. The mom's singing. Franny tells her to shut up. Mary's horse goes nuts, and she almost gets into this accident, and Dr. Steve saves her again. Mm-hmm. And Fran's like, Steve, you really should ride with her back. And she's like, no, that's okay. Like, no, I insist. You ride with her back. And I'm like, she really doesn't have a clue about what's going on here. She doesn't. I don't know. I just thought it was interesting. So, they ride back together, and things start to cool off a little bit. And Fran tells Steve/Eddie, hey, I'm going to be gone for a while. I'm going to be gone for about a couple of weeks because I have to talk to, was it investors or something or whatever it was? I forgot. Something for the company that she's a part of.
Yeah.
And Mary's like, well, Fran, this is a really critical time. And she's like, oh, no. That's why I'm leaving you 2 in charge with the wedding. I trust you. I'm like, yeah, famous last words. So there's some funny things that happen. I won't go into too much of it because there's this funny thing that happens when they're walking through the park, and it something happens with a statue, but you'll have to see it. They after that all happens, they run into Mary's ex-fiance with his new wife, and she's pregnant, and she gets upset.
Wait, so she's pregnant?
No, remember that lady Wendy that they run into?
I remember that. I don't remember her being pregnant.
Wendy was pregnant.
Okay. You've seen it more than I have. So
yes, Wendy was pregnant with
Jennifer Lopez's baby.
No. No. Her ex-fiance's child or her husband.
Gotcha.
And Mary was very upset. And she got drunk. Steve makes sure she gets home safely. In fact, she carries her to the house along with her beer. That was pretty funny, I think. And she's like, I can't believe he's married and they have a baby and he looked really good.
Oh my God.
So they get to the house. She is, there's a fire burning. He lights a candle and roasts a marshmallow, gives it to her, puts it on the table. And, he's very attracted to her. They say goodnight. He leaves. He comes back and he says, did you ever think about that night in the park? And, he's saying, I don't know you. I don't even know your father's first name, but I know the curves of your face. And I know blah, 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 all these things. And she's like, well, here's what I'm going to say about that. The only thing I need to know is your measurements for your tux. And so she tells him to go away, but obviously she's attracted to him too. She just doesn't want to admit it. So it's the wedding day and everything is all set up. The musicians are set up. Steve goes up to Fran and says, hey, can we take a walk? And she's dressed up already in her wedding dress. And from what I understand, she looks really, really pretty.
An angel from heaven.
Like an angel from heaven, right? She gets out and she's like, what's going on? And he says, why do you want to marry me? And she's like, I cannot believe you're doing this on my wedding day. Why are you doing this? And basically they're figuring out, well, what are we going to do? Do we really want to get married? And there's all these people and, we invited so many people. And he says, are you ready to do this? And she's like, yes, of course. And then she's like, no, I can't do this. And then she says, I never thought about really what I wanted in a long time. So they end up not getting married. He sends her away in a cab in her wedding dress. How humiliating. But he is nice to her and says, take care of yourself. He finds out from Penny that Mary is getting married to Massimo. They go to the church because by then Massimo and Mary are making a big to-do about their so-called engagement. So they make it to the church and Steve is in a cab and they're trying to get there and he goes through great lengths just to get to the church. He gets to the church. Massimo's outside. He's like, no, we didn't get married. She really loves you. You're the one. So, anyway, I want you to finish off the conclusion there.
All right. They meet up and they get together.
So at the end, as you watch the ending, there's a screen and you see a man dressed up in a military uniform with the woman that's supposed to be his bride. And from what I understand, in real time, they are he's in a uniform. I think was he in a uniform? No, I'm sorry. In real time, they're getting married or they get together.
They get together.
Yes.
Would you like me to share my opinion of this movie, babes?
I suppose. Get it over with.
You remember like a week and a half ago?
Yes.
When we watched From Dusk Till Dawn?
Yeah.
And I just like loved the movie, which I still do, and trying to convince you this is like the greatest thing since sliced bread.
I never said that, by the way.
No, I'm saying that this is like, I'm over-exaggerating my opinion of the movie, right?
Yes.
I'm thinking how great it is, and you did not feel the same way as I did?
Yes.
It's kind of like that in reverse.
Uh-oh.
So...
Uh-oh.
You kind of know this because we've talked about it since then.
Yeah, but it wasn't that bad, was it?
There were some good things in this movie. I like the stuff with the alcoholic parents and how the dad kept calling Jennifer Lopez a wedding woman. Right?
Yes.
That was good. The scene with the kids, I'm not a big fan of kids in movies, even though we're going to talk about a film in a minute that has kids prominent in it that I love.
Yes.
But the kids in this movie worked. They weren't like overused, right?
They were really funny, yes.
Yeah, so it worked in the context of this film. What else can I say about this film that is good?
What about the stuff with Penny?
The stuff with Penny, it was okay. I could take it or leave it, to be honest.
Yeah. What about her interaction with Francine?
Francine, it was okay. You know who I liked? What's the name of the cop who went to the Scrabble classes?
Bert.
I
like
was
Bert.
good in the movie.
Bert was funny. Yes.
He was really good in the movie. And I liked when she's trying to crawl away from her ex-boyfriend or ex-fiance. That was good.
From Massimo?
No. Remember when they're at the flower area? It's
yeah,
right before she gets drunk and she tries to crawl away.
She's trying to crawl away from her ex-fiance, yes.
That was good. That scene worked for me. The drunk scene didn't, but that scene worked for me.
Okay, you didn't think it was that funny?
No.
Okay.
The thing with the statue, I predicted it. It just felt way too predictable to me. This movie, I felt like I saw pretty much every gag or every plot line coming a mile away. It didn't feel like it added enough to the genre. You know, when you first told me, oh, there's this movie called The Wedding Planner, with Matthew McConaughey and Jennifer Lopez, immediately I guessed she was a wedding planner, he was the groom, and they were going to fall in love. They have the scene where they go back to her place, but nothing happens. They have the scene where his fiance goes to Jennifer Lopez and says that the wedding's off, and then Miss Lopez talks her back into it. Oh, another thing.
Actually, no, that was a different lady.
No, that wasn't. Remember, it's the scene after Matthew McConaughey and her are back at her apartment when she's drunk, and she kicks him out. And then she goes into her office the next day. And Matthew McConaughey's...
Oh, that's right. So she's convincing her that the wedding should be on.
Yes, that's predictable.
Okay.
I will say this. There was another thing in the movie that I just remembered that I did like.
Yeah.
I liked how Matthew McConaughey and her broke up. Like, when she left in the cab, she was happy to be leaving. It
wasn't like, oh, I'm upset because this is my wedding day and I have to leave now.
Correct. That worked for me, too.
Yeah.
But overall, this film didn't add anything or enough original for me to recommend it. I'd give it maybe a 6.
A 6 is really low in my book.
Okay.
I mean, I know it's not a 3, but...
Here's what I would say would have made this movie better. It's called The Wedding Planner. Has her and Matthew McConaughey. What would have been more interesting, babe, is if instead of falling in love with the groom, she falls in love with the best man who is hired to help plan the wedding with her.
Yeah, because he didn't have a best man.
Right.
Yeah.
But that would have been more interesting to me than she falls in love with the groom and he's with this other lady, obviously. But it just felt too predictable. I saw everything coming. It didn't feel original enough for me. The comedy was very hit and miss for me. Some things worked for me. A lot of things didn't. So I can't say that I liked it that much. I didn't hate it.
Okay.
But it was just sort of like middle of the road.
That's interesting because I didn't like From Dusk Till Dawn at all. So.
Yeah, with me, I don't hate this movie.
Okay.
There's good stuff in it. And Jennifer Lopez is actually slightly better than I expected her to be. But I don't really have that high of an opinion of her as an actress.
Now let me ask you a question.
Go ahead.
Because I showed you My Best Friend's Wedding, another wedding movie.
Yes.
Compared to My Best Friend's Wedding, because that one, she does, Julia Roberts is in love with the groom, but she doesn't get the groom.
Yeah. There's problems with My Best Friend's Wedding, but if you're asking me which film is better, it's My Best Friend's Wedding.
Okay.
This film is not as good as that.
Okay.
It's not on that level. It's just more of the same. It's lazy writing. There's not enough originality in it, so it just doesn't work for me.
Oh, okay. Now,
we know I would give it maybe a 6. What about you?
So because I've seen it so many times, I would give it a 7. But I mean, I don't think of the predictability of it as much as you do.
Mm.
I like it because it's fun to me.
Well,
I don't think about the story. I don't think so much about like, oh, the storyline is so predictable. It's like every other wedding chick flick I ever watched. But that's not, I don't critique a lot of movies like you do.
But don't you think that it is like every other wedding movie you've watched, or most at least?
I don't think of it that way. I just like it because it's fun. I just watch it because it's not a deep movie, and I can just chill out and watch a movie that I like and don't have to worry about thinking about stuff like that.
Okay, even with Massimo.
Yeah.
He's good, but he's predictable. Like, there's a scene that I don't think you discussed when you were giving your recap. Excuse me.
I forgot about it. Is this the one with the macaroni and cheese?
Yes, where he's like, I'm going to make you a big meal. And over the phone, I said, watch, he's going to cook her something stupid like macaroni and cheese. And what did he cook her? Macaroni and cheese. There's the scene where they're playing Scrabble, and I said, oh, he's going to propose to her now. Then he brings in the stall house and proposes her. And she's going to say yes. I got that a little bit wrong.
But see,
because on the Scrabble board, she wrote okay.
That's one of the reasons why it's hard to show you a movie sometimes, because you like to predict stuff. But and it's like just watch it, Then we talk about what you predicted.
But babes, don't you think it says more about the movie that I was right so many times?
Yeah, but do you have to say it all the time, every 5 minutes?
Not with every movie, I don't. I don't. I didn't do that with Ever After.
No, but but those were different. Those were totally different movies, and they weren't predictable to you.
No, this one was.
It's just. Well, even if it was predictable, did you have to say, "Oh, this is what's going to happen every 5 minutes"? When all I wanted to do was to have you watch it and not comment on it until it was over. I'm just saying. That's why it's kind of frustrating to watch a movie with you sometimes.
Babe, I didn't know.
I think you did.
No, okay.
I still love you though.
I still love you too.
Okay, so you didn't like the movie, but
I didn't hate it.
Okay, good.
I didn't hate it. It was middle of the road.
Okay, well, I felt the exact opposite about.
Maybe it would help if you talked a little bit about your history with the movie.
So one of the reasons why I liked it, it's because I watched it in a theater in Seattle. This was back in, I believe it was like January. It was like beginning of 2001. And I went with another blind person to this, to a place called Pacific Place Cinemas. And they happened to have audio descriptive headsets. And we're like, okay, cool. We're walking around Seattle. Why not watch a movie? It's okay. So we each got a headset, and it worked really well. It worked really, really good. So they were like, obviously there were pre-recorded descriptions, and it worked. I really enjoyed it. And maybe it's because it reminds me of a more simplistic time, I guess, more of a simple time, and it brings back memories when I watch this movie about how simple it was back then and where I was back then, and that I was still a young 21-year-old just trying to figure out my way in life.
Pre 9/11 Jaylo.
Exactly.
Yes.
It was a simple time, and it was a happy time for me. It was a time that I was, becoming more independent.
Well, good.
Yeah, that's why I like it so much. That's one of the reasons why I like it.
That's fair.
Okay.
Okay. we know my take. We know how you feel about the film. Maybe we should do a little bit of character analysis.
All right.
Which, it's kind of shallow, but let's go with it.
It is kind of shallow, but it's fun.
Yes. What do the bride's parents teach us about having money and using that to hide their problems?
I think they're so funny, though. I mean, I think it's like, usually when you think of like rich parents, you think they're snooty and they're kind of, they're kind of square, kind of blah, right?
Yeah.
No, these parents didn't seem very square. I mean, they were a little snooty, but they knew how to have fun, even if it was with alcohol. I don't know. They just made it seem really, really funny to me. I don't know. They just knew how to relax, I guess. I wouldn't have done it with alcohol, but they made it look really funny.
Nice.
Yeah. And I did not like Francine's character.
She was just there. She's just kind of like wallpaper, I felt.
Wallpaper?
Yeah. Like she does, again, it goes back to she does the predictable thing. She's hitting the right beats. But she doesn't add anything new to that.
Well, I wasn't even done explaining why I didn't like her.
Go ahead.
Not only was she wallpaper, I guess, if that's what you describe her as, but she was kind of one of those like take charge women that, she wanted Steve to go here for the wedding when she didn't even ask him for his input, because apparently the groom's input doesn't matter. I don't know.
Wait a second. I gotta push back a little bit with you.
What are you talking? No, I'm just giving my analysis.
Okay, go ahead.
I didn't say that the groom's input does not matter. I'm saying she's treating it as if it doesn't matter.
I know what you're saying, but here's my pushback.
Okay.
Her family is flipping the bill for this wedding.
Right.
Steve's a doctor. Yeah, that's great. But we have a sense that her family has a lot more money than he does.
Yes.
And traditionally, the wedding day is the bride's day. And her parents are going to be flipping the bill. I mean, I didn't really have an issue with that, to be honest.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm thinking of it in as for weddings in general, not the fact that she's rich.
Okay.
I'm not talking about the fact. Obviously, she is rich and she comes from rich parents, but
no, but because she's rich, he doesn't have to worry. It's not like he's paying for this wedding.
I know, but I wasn't thinking about that.
Okay.
I was just thinking about the way that she was interacting with him, and that she was gone for 2 weeks when she should be planning it. She should be helping to plan it, and really, Jennifer Lopez's character and him were planning it without her.
Yeah, but the only reason she's gone is so they can get closer.
Well, even though she had no clue that they were getting closer, it seemed like.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. It's one of those. What?
I know.
Okay. Okay, all right.
I have a feeling I know where you're going with this.
We don't have to go there with her necessarily then.
No. It's kind of like one of those unspoken things, right? Is that what you mean?
It's kind of like we need her to leave so these characters can get together. It's lazy writing, but it gets the job done. There's no other reason for her to be gone.
Right.
Okay. What does Massimo teach us about love?
Yeah, that's very interesting. So this is something I had a problem with, I guess, or maybe I don't. They don't say exactly how old she was when she met Massimo. It sounds like they only met each other once.
I thought they said she was like 4 when they met.
Yeah, like 4 when they met or something like that, and he ate mud.
Yeah.
And it's been so many years since they've seen each other, but she obviously had no feelings for this guy. And and he's trying very hard to be charming towards her, and it's like I think he was trying to maybe to prove her father's point that you can be in love with somebody even if you're not in love with them. You can find a way to do it. That's how I see it.
Nice. Even
though she ends up not loving him in the end.
Are Jennifer Lopez and Matthew McConaughey's characters still together today?
Possibly, yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
What does their life look like?
I don't know. Maybe she's still planning weddings.
Hmm.
Maybe he moves up moves up in rank as a doctor. Maybe he does, maybe he works with adults instead of children. I don't know.
I just have this opinion of them, or thought of them going to a party and somebody saying, have you ever thought of working with adults? I know you like the kids, but have you ever thought of moving up to real medicine?
That is real medicine.
I know, babes. I'm just having fun.
Children need doctors.
I know, babes. I'm just having fun, okay?
I didn't tickle you.
Okay? All right, babes. I love you. Is there anything else you want to say about this movie?
No, I think that's as much as I think we can go with it, because it's not a very deep movie, but if you want something quick and maybe if you don't mind the predictability of it, then go watch it.
Yeah, I mean, if your power is out and it's the only movie you have on your phone, and you know your power is going to be back on before your phone dies, so you don't have to worry too much, I would say, yeah, it could be okay to watch to get you through the night.
Oh, jeez.
Yes. But give me a kiss, okay? Babes, we're about to have my first kiss ever. How do you feel about that?
That's not true.
What do you mean that's not true?
We've done this millions of times on episodes.
Oh, what else? Give me a kiss. Millions of times or millions of smiles. All right, Jaylo. Now, we watched The Wedding Planner.
Yes.
Then I had to pee. I did.
Does everybody have to know that?
Why not?
I don't know.
And we started watching a film called About a Boy.
And I didn't even hear about that until you told me.
Let me explain a little bit about this movie.
Mm-hmm.
In 2002, I saw a preview for it when it first came out to theaters. And I thought to myself, you know what? I don't like chick flicks, but that looks like that could be a good one.
Yeah.
Obviously, I like chick flicks now.
Yeah.
But I hadn't really admitted it to myself back then.
Okay.
Okay. But I don't go and watch the movie, babes, because I'm a guy. I'm 19.
You're like, I don't want to watch it.
Actually, I'm 18 at the time. No, how old was I?
No, you were almost 20.
Yeah, I was 19.
Okay.
I was all roided up and
yes,
having fun.
Obviously.
No.
Obviously.
And then I moved to Hawaii. There's a Blockbuster Video. At least there was at that time on Kona.
Wow.
So,
really? On Kona?
Mm-hmm. I decide to write About a Boy. It's one of the first movies I watched when I moved there. And I think I watched it like twice in a day.
Wow.
You also got to remember, back then, I think this was before I got cable. And the Big Island is great, but there's not a lot to do there if you're not really in the know.
Exactly.
Which I wasn't at the time.
Not quite like, not as industrious.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it a lot. I revisited the film probably back in 2014. And then again, after we started dating in early 2019. Okay. So this was maybe my 5th viewing of it. And I really, really like the movie. This to me is a solid 8.
And you told me that I should download it because it's on descriptive. So I'm like, okay.
Yes, because we still wanted to do a movie night this week.
Yeah, and I actually really enjoyed it. I would give it the same score.
Okay, so let me give a little bit of synopsis about the film, if you don't mind there, Jaylo.
That's okay. I don't mind.
You don't mind there,
I
Jaylo.
don't.
The narrative keeps going back between Will and this kid's Marcus. So let's focus on Will for the moment. Will is played by Hugh Grant. He's 38 years old when the movie starts.
Yes. And
Will doesn't need to work because his father wrote this hit holiday song back in 1958, so he can just live off the royalties.
Santa and is it Santa Super Sleigh?
Yes.
Yes.
So he's like just going through life, and trying to pick up women, enjoying things.
Getting his hair cut.
He has friends who have kids. There's a scene where he goes over and somebody hands him the baby and they say, we really want you to be the godfather to our daughter. He goes through this thing about, listen, all that's going to happen is when she turns 18, I'm going to take her out to drink and we might have sex. And
is that what he said?
I'm paraphrasing, but that's basically it.
Oh.
The mom says, "Oh, I thought you were deeper than that." And he's like, "Oh, no, I'm not shallow."
I'm not shallow.
I thought that was great. But he gets set up on a date with a girl who has, I want to say a son, a 3-year-old. And so...
Wait, is that Susie?
It might have been. I'm bad.
Susie has a daughter. The first lady that he wants to go out with.
I thought it was a girl, but maybe,
no, Susie had the daughter.
Okay.
First, that's when they went to the picnics.
No. This is before that.
Before the
You gotta let me tell the story, babe.
Before the picnic.
You gotta let me tell the story, babe.
Okay. I'm sorry. Okay, go on.
So he goes out. He's hanging out with her little boy, and he realizes that all he has to do is swing this kid around, and the kid will be like, think he's all that in a bag of chips.
Uh-huh.
He gets with the mom and realizes it's great dating single moms because they can't spend all their time with you. They got to devote some time to the kid. So you get your nights free.
Yeah.
She thinks you're a great guy for hanging out with a little bastard for a little while. But eventually this gets old and he's about to break up with her when she drops the ball first and says, I got to be there for my son. It's really important. He's a growing boy, all this stuff. And he says, I completely understand. She considers him a friend.
Yeah.
But now he's interested in getting with some MILFs. He's at the supermarket and trying to figure out how to hit on to single moms. When he sees this ad for a group called...
SPAT.
SPAT stands for?
Single Parents Alone Together.
Yes. So... he goes to the meeting, and it's pretty much women talking about what it's like being a single mom.
And he's the only man.
It comes to Hugh Grant, and he begins explaining his relationship with Ned, his 2-year-old. And the mom doesn't really see much in Ned these days. But sometimes he thinks that Ned is the one raising him.
Right.
I love that line.
Yeah.
And Spat is about to have a picnic. Mm-hmm. Everybody's going to get together.
Yep.
He asks out this girl that you were thinking about. The one with
Susie.
Susie.
Yeah, because I forgot the other one in the beginning.
Yes.
Susie, the one with the daughter.
The one with the daughter. Goes to pick her out. Conveniently, Ned is busy that day, so he won't be joining them.
Nope.
But Marcus will. And Marcus is the son of this other lady who is in Spat.
Fiona. Yep.
So they go out to the park. Marcus is, 13, 14?
About 12.
12.
He's 12.
12 to 14.
Yeah.
And Fiona is, God, this is going to make me seem bad. In some ways, kind of reminds me of my mom. But
she's not with them. She doesn't go with them.
Yeah. But she's a really bad cook, which
right.
reminds me of my mom. And at one point, Marcus kills this bird.
Yeah, and then because he brings this really hard loaf of bread that she made.
Yes.
He just chucks it out the window and into the pond.
He chucks it into the pond.
Or chucks it into the pond, yeah.
Kills the bird. And Hugh Grant kind of covers with them. And he's like, looks like we got out of that one, mate. Tries to give Marcus a high five, but Marcus ain't going for it.
Nope.
Okay. They go home. Fiona tried to kill herself.
Yeah, they had to get her to the hospital.
Yes. And then they come back. Marcus goes off with Susie, and wouldn't you know it, Will has to go back and get Ned.
Yeah, right.
So, but he says, okay, goodbye, call me anytime.
Call me anytime, yeah. We'll be in touch.
Yes. Will is going around doing his thing now. And Marcus knows that his mom is really unstable. He realizes that you need a backup for a parent. You can't just have one parent. You need a backup.
Right.
So he thinks, well, maybe Will should get together with him.
Yeah.
He starts stalking Will.
Coming to his house at...
Well, we're going to get there. We're not there yet.
We're not there yet.
We're not there yet.
Apparently
he follows him around, and he kind of realizes, oh, this guy doesn't have a kid.
No, it's like, you don't have a kid.
But there's this great scene. Oh, I'm sorry. I skipped ahead.
Yes, you did.
Shit. Okay.
See, I told you.
Okay.
You should have listened to me.
Hold on. Before he stalks Will, he thinks to call Will while Hugh Grant is getting a haircut. And I love the scene. He's like,
yeah.
We should hang out, and you're rich and we're not, so you're going to treat us to lunch.
Yeah.
He's like, well, don't beat around the bush, mate.
Yeah.
They go out to lunch, and Will is just having a horrible time.
Yeah.
The mom is super weird.
Really weird, yeah.
And at one point, they're back at her place. She starts playing the piano.
They start singing Killing Me Softly and standing...
Killing me softly with his song. Will makes an excuse to leave. I don't have a rich dad, but I do think in some ways I'm a lot like Will.
Uh-oh.
Would you agree with that?
How?
Well, I'm not British.
No.
I don't have a rich dad, but I think our personalities in some ways are similar. Like, I'm not really a big fan of kids, with some exceptions.
Yeah, but you don't hate them, though.
He didn't hate kids either.
Okay.
He just didn't like spending time around them.
Right. He didn't want to, he didn't want to spend his whole entire day around them when he could be doing other stuff.
Yeah, like, I love spending time around my nephew, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that's pretty much the only kid I want to spend time with.
Right.
You
don't want to spend time with anybody else's kid.
Yeah, and I'm kind of cynical like he is.
Yeah, I honestly don't know who's more cynical than who.
And there's this one thing, I know I'm skipping ahead, where he tells Fiona in relation to her mental illness, okay, just, work on it now. That sounds like something I could see myself
Work on
saying.
it now.
Yes. But anyways, we'll get there when we get there.
Yes.
So now Marcus starts following Will around, and he begins to piece things together and realize that he doesn't have a kid.
Mm-hmm.
One day, he knocks on Will's door, invites himself in, and they start watching TV. Then we see this montage of him coming over to Will's place every day after school and watching TV with him. At some point, because Marcus is a weird kid,
mm-hmm.
he gets beat up a lot,
mm-hmm.
he runs to Will's house because kids are chasing him.
Yep.
Will gets him off of Marcus's back, brings him in and says, okay, we've got to show you how to be cool. Takes him to get new shoes. Some kids steal those sneakers from him. Goes home crying to his mom. And she's like, well, why would they steal your shoes? They're just ratty shoes.
Mm-hmm.
Marcus explains that he's been hanging out with Will. And then the mom takes Marcus to the restaurant where Hugh Grant is out on a date. And there's this great confrontation.
Mm-hmm.
I loved what Will says during the scene.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing that really got me is when you hear the narration from Marcus saying,
right,
I couldn't believe it. I found myself siding with Will over my mom.
Right, exactly, yeah.
I thought that was really cool.
Yes.
Like, they didn't really sugarcoat it, which I liked.
Yes. Yeah, and I kind of like the confrontation.
I like it. I thought that whole scene really worked well for me.
Yes. Yes.
In any event, the mom, Fiona, says, okay, well, you're part of his life now, Will. You can't just give up on him. You got to keep hanging around with him.
Yeah.
So,
even though she found out that he's been visiting him uninvited.
It comes out that Ned may or may not be real. And when we say may, we're being very kind.
We're being very kind, yes.
Yeah. So eventually, Will gets an invite to Marcus's family for Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
But he's thinking, I just want to stay home and watch monster movies.
I want to watch some horror movies.
At the last minute, he changes his mind, goes over there, meets Marcus's dad, who is very odd.
He's kind of like a hippie, him and his girlfriend, right?
Something like that.
Very weird. Yeah.
Marcus gives Will a CD of one-hit wonders, one of which had his dad's song on it, which I thought was great.
That was really funny.
Yes. And in exchange, Will gives him a CD from Mystical.
Yes, and because he likes rap.
And a disc player, which I thought was great.
Yeah.
Susie comes in. She's mad at Will because Susie heard that Ned wasn't real. There's a great like confrontation where Marcus says he's my friend and people do bad things all the time. Will did something bad by lying about a kid, but that's no reason that he should have to go.
Right. Yeah, I think he should stay here.
Will stays and he says, I was with this really weird family, but I
had a good time.
I ended up enjoying myself. I had a good time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So one day Marcus is walking around school singing, shake your ass, watch yourself, shake your ass, show me what you got. And
show me what you're working with.
He runs into homegirl
Ellie, who has a deep voice for a 12-year-old girl.
Yes. They have a discussion. It's kind of cute. It works for me.
When does he meet the other mom?
We're gonna get there, babes.
All right, because I couldn't remember.
Yeah, you okay? If you remember, New Year's Eve, which comes 6 days after Christmas.
Absolutely.
Hugh Grant is at this party and talking to this girl.
Oh, yeah.
She's like, oh, what do you do? And he's like, nothing.
Nothing.
How long have you done nothing for? Well,
long time.
Whatever. You didn't say quite like that, but
yeah.
You're getting the gist.
Yes.
Eventually, she starts talking to somebody else about rap.
Mm-hmm.
She says, oh, it's all this the same to me.
Mm-hmm.
Will sees this opportunity. He responds with, well, I know a 12-year-old who would kill you for saying something like that. They begin talking. And Will doesn't say that he's Marcus's dad.
Yeah, it's like,
but he never says that he's not.
And he's like, so who's that 12-year-old you know? My 12-year-old Marcus.
Right.
It's like, oh, yeah, well, mine is Allie. Allie, yes. Short for Alistair.
Yes. So they begin talking.
And they end up hooking up.
Here's what happens.
Yes.
Will goes to talk with Marcus. I think I'm getting the placement in the movie right. And he says, I really like this girl. Marcus explains that he's really into a lady too. Ellie. Yeah. And Will says, hey, Marcus, could you help me with this?
Yep, that's exactly right. Yes.
They go over and Marcus is alone with homeboy's name, Allie. Yeah. And Allie is, let's just say, a little bit dramatic.
He's very cray-cray.
I loved... That scene's cool, but the scene I really love is when it's the two adults and Allie and Marcus. And Allie's... they're talking about her ex-boyfriend and how he was a bad guy.
Yeah.
And Allie's just going...
and he's crying, right?
Yes. I think
that's like, I'm really sorry that... and he was crying.
Yes.
And he had a deep voice for a little boy too.
He did.
He just but he was good.
Well, Ellie's a girl though.
No, I was talking about Allie.
But you said he had a deep voice for a little boy. Oh, I see.
Allie.
I see, because he's a little boy, so he shouldn't have such a deep voice.
Yes.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay.
I'm just kidding.
I don't know if his voice was that deep, but I.
Well, it was. Anyway.
Okay. I'm. Listen, I barely. That's my phone out there, but we don't worry about that.
All right. Wow.
And I thought I put Do Not Disturb on.
That's okay.
But apparently not. Who would be calling me? It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. You'll find out later.
Anyways, so they get the apology thing worked out, right?
Mm-hmm.
So everything is good. That's really distracting.
Yeah, I know.
I could have sworn I put that on.
That's okay. It's off now.
Okay. So everything's good. Marcus and Will are hanging out one day, and Marcus says something about you should tell the truth. Will thinks that he's joking, but then he decides he's going to tell homegirl Allie's mom, Rachel, that homegirl. Well, you know what I mean. That Marcus is not his real son. And I love that scene at the restaurant because he's like, oh, and then he's like, yeah, and these aren't real lobsters either, or whatever he says.
Yeah.
And then he's like, well, I never said he was my kid. He just
kind of believed it. Right. You just believed that he was my kid.
Rachel gets a little upset. I can only wonder why.
Yeah.
She goes out. By this time, Fiona is starting to act weird again, crying all the time.
Yes.
And Marcus thinks that the only way to cheer her up is to start singing.
And
at a talent show that his school is having.
Mm-hmm.
Well, first there's this great scene where he goes to Hugh Grant's house and says, my mom's acting up. Yeah. Hugh Grant is like, well, what do you want me to do about it? Marcus wants him to do something, but he doesn't know what. And Will tells him, listen, I'm the guy who's really good at telling you what CDs to listen to.
Yeah.
Or what you should do for this or that.
But I can't help you with this.
This is above my pay grade, basically.
Yeah.
Marcus signs up for the talent contest to sing Killing Me Softly. Will is just going to kind of let it happen, but then he decides to do something good. He goes over to see Fiona. Well, first he goes to the group. Mm-hmm. And, she's like, Will, this is a safe space.
Yes.
They're in the circle with a bunch of people. Yes. Whatever you want to say to me.
You can say it here.
And he's like, please don't kill yourself.
I love that part.
Then it shows them talking. So, Will, you had no right to say that in front of everybody.
Yeah, it's like, where are you going? He's like, well, actually, Marcus is in a talent show.
Yes. They drive down. I love the scene where Marcus is about to go out and Will says, you can't make anybody happy, maybe for a short time, but in the long run, they got to work on them. Please don't do this. Mm-hmm. But then Marcus goes out and starts singing. Will follows him on guitar. Mm-hmm. And normally I don't like when they do stuff like this, but in this movie it works.
Yeah, and it was funny because he kept continuing.
Yeah.
And he's like, and he goes, Hey, Will, we're finished.
Yeah.
We're finished.
And his eyes are closed. I could see that. That worked for me.
Yeah, and then the kids were throwing food at him.
Well.
Apples and
yes. We fast forward about a year, and Will is on his couch during the holidays. Rachel's there with her kid, and Marcus and Ellie. And Fiona is there. Will's kind of friend who he met through Amnesty International is there. And him and Fiona are kind of talking. And that's basically how the movie ends.
That was funny. I was like, why is he... It's funny that he ended up in that scene.
I really enjoy this movie.
It was a funny movie. It really was.
It's probably my favorite Hugh Grant film. I think it's really well done. It's one of those movies that I think would have been easy to go wrong with, right? So when I saw it, and you said this early on in the movie too, he's going to end up with Marcus's mom.
And I said, and he's like, well, no, keep watching.
Yeah, because that's what I expected to happen too. And that would have been so easy for them to do. Mm-hmm. And I'm really glad that they didn't go that way.
Mm-hmm. Me too.
And I'm really glad that they showed him not going for her because he's just so nutty.
She is.
You know what I mean?
Yes, she's very unstable.
Right.
Yeah.
I just think that this film is a great movie.
Yeah.
And to the point to where I had known that it was based on a book, but I never read it. And full disclosure, I still have not read the book.
Oh.
But what I did after watching this movie and getting off the phone with you is I went on Bard, couldn't find it. Same thing with Bookshare. However, I did place a hold on it on Overdrive, which is the app for ebooks for the library. Mm-hmm. So I will read it soon. I think this is a great, great movie. What do you think of what I just said about the film?
I would agree with you on this one. I really would.
There's a lot we can do for character analysis. Mm-hmm. There's a scene where Will is about to leave Marcus with not Fiona. Fiona's friend. It's right after the suicide.
Susie. Fiona's friend Susie.
And he's getting back in his car and he says, the way I look at it is everybody is their own show. I'm the star of the Will show. It's a sitcom.
Yeah.
And Marcus and Susie and Fiona are just guest stars, and they have their own show to keep up. And if Fiona couldn't keep her show up, that's her own problem.
Yeah.
I really respond to metaphors like that.
I didn't even think of it. I didn't even think of that until you mentioned it.
Yes. I love metaphors like that. Sometimes I'll think of my life as like, is this a TV show? And what type of TV show is it, if it is one? So that works for me. Mm-hmm. Again, I go back to the scene at the restaurant where Will is dropping knowledge on Fiona. Mm-hmm. And he's making so many good points that even Marcus can't deny him.
Right. Mm-hmm. Right.
So I want to ask you, what does Will teach us about honesty?
It's such a lonely word. No, I'm kidding. That's a Billy Joel song, by the way.
Okay.
Honesty is such a lonely word. I liked how honest he was. I mean, even though he doesn't really have a lot going on in his life, just because he is living off the royalties that his dad made with that Christmas song that he did.
Yes.
Right? That he wrote. And but he is honest. He's been honest about, when it came to Marcus, because he realizes in the end that even though he doesn't have a kid, Marcus is like a kid to him, and he's important to Marcus. Or Marcus is important to him, rather.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Marcus also thinks that Will is important to him.
Marcus realizes that way before Will does.
Yes, he does. Yeah.
Okay, what does Will teach us about first loneliness and then letting people in?
I think that he probably was shutting people out for a long time because he wanted to do his own thing. And he was only in it for himself, right? Because,
yes,
like he said, this is the Will show, right?
Mm-hmm.
In his mind, he was a part of his own TV show, and he wanted to make it the way he wanted to make it. And he didn't want to let anyone in to mess it up.
But then he does. What does he teach us about letting people in?
There are a lot of things that are more important to think about than just yourself. That's how I see it. And he may have been a kind of a mentor to Marcus, and Marcus probably taught him a lot of things that he didn't even think about because he didn't want to let anybody in. Would you agree?
Absolutely.
Good.
What does Fiona teach us about bad parenting?
Never leave alcohol in your house or pills.
Oh my goodness.
If you are going to abuse them. Never leave a single mom by herself. I don't know.
Never leave a single mom by herself. That makes it sound like she's going to break stuff up or something.
I'm just kidding. Well, she's emotionally unstable. She doesn't have stability in her life.
I don't want to say too much, but again, in some ways, she reminds me of my mom. Not completely, but there's a few things. And I'm wondering, she doesn't remind me of my mom all the way. But,
all the way, yeah.
Is Fiona a good mother?
I think she wants to be, but she doesn't know how. I think towards the end, she really wants to step up and be there for Marcus.
Do you think that she ever does?
Yes, I do.
See, that's interesting. I think that she never stops trying, but I don't know that she ever succeeds in really becoming a great parent.
Well, I'd like to think that she wants to, or that
I think that she wants to, and I think that she tries her best, but I don't think that she ever achieves that. But I could be wrong.
I don't know.
Oh,
it is up to interpretation.
What does Allie teach us about holding on to the past?
He was so funny. I think that, because it's probably true that he saw a lot of men come and go out of his mother's life. What was he supposed to do with that, right? Because he didn't have any choice. We don't know where his dad is. We didn't see his dad. We don't know what kind of relationship he has with his dad. He probably has a lot of resentment. And I think he doesn't know what to do with it.
I would agree with that.
He doesn't know what to do with it, so he lashes out in anger because maybe that would get people's attention.
What does Ellie represent to Marcus? We know he's attracted to her, but I thought
she was a little weird.
Okay.
I thought maybe she was going to be one of his bullies.
Do you want me to give you kind of my analysis on that?
Yeah.
Listen, we don't know this, but this is my assumption, is Ellie is a little bit more with it than Marcus. She's a little bit more of a badass. Like, Marcus... You're brushing your hair.
Yes, I am.
I just want to explain that sound. Yes.
It's my hairbrush, okay? It's my hairbrush.
Okay. Marcus is a good kid, and he wants to be there for his mom. And because of that, he's not really a rebel. I get the sense that Ellie is one. And that's why he responds to her so well. Because she represents what he can't be. Based on his relationship with Fiona.
Right. Yeah. Mm.
You would go with that.
I just thought maybe she was going to be one of his bullies.
I could totally see that.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
She just seems like a really tough girl, but, you know, once you go throughout the movie, she's not so bad.
There is a possibility that Marcus loses his virginity to Ellie.
I don't want to think about that, Bubs.
Okay.
He's only 12.
He's much older now, babes.
Well, he's much older now, but this is only open to interpretation, but it didn't really happen.
Where do you think these characters are today?
I don't think they're together.
You don't think Ellie's together with Marcus?
No.
Do you think that they had a kid and gave it up for adoption?
I don't think they had any children.
Okay, good.
No, I don't think. I think Marcus realizes, okay, she was my first girlfriend, and now I think it's time to move on. I'm guessing.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, he may have been in love with her, but maybe he's like, I don't think it's going to work out.
Is Will still together with
Rachel? It's possible. It's possible. I mean, you know, considering the reaction that Ellie had, remember?
Yes.
Maybe he realized, okay, this guy is in her life. I might as well give him a chance. I don't know. I'm not sure exactly why.
What's the name? It's like Ellie and Allie.
Allie, I'm sorry. Allie, I'm sorry. Allie.
But their names do rhyme.
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah, and they're very
close
similar.
together.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Allie, I mean, maybe the reason why he was so emotional is because he didn't know how to handle it. And, you know, here's another guy. She's probably going to dump him in, however, you know, maybe within a week's time or a month's time or whatever. You know, I don't know.
Is Fiona still alive?
Fiona?
Yes.
I think she's holding it together, but she's very much on the edge of doing something very destructive to herself. If not treated.
What about Marcus? I believe he's still alive, but what do you think his life is like?
As he's older?
Yeah.
I would think that he moves out of his mother's house and never comes back to live with her.
Well, I would assume that, but is he doing well in life? Is he struggling a lot?
I would think, you know, Marcus seemed like a really smart kid.
Yeah. I
would think that he would want to work hard to have a better life that his mother couldn't give him. Or his father, for that matter.
Do you think that him and Will are still close?
Possibly, yeah. Possibly if Fiona is still close to Susie and Rachel.
We believe that, or you do, that Will and Rachel may still be together.
Yes.
But where do you think Will is right now?
And he could still be doing nothing.
Nice.
Or maybe he does decide to do something with his life.
Maybe he's still killing them softly with his song.
I think I told you this, right? Do you know who Killing Me Softly was about?
I know that it's a Roberta Flack song.
Yes.
Or Lauryn Hill, depending on your generation.
It's Roberta Flack, not Lauryn Hill.
Okay.
Lauryn Hill was not the originator.
I know, depending on your generation, I said.
Oh, geez.
I do not remember. I know you told me, though.
So I found out that Killing Me Softly was written about Don McLean.
From the Eagles?
No, Don McLean was not in the Eagles.
What was he in?
Don McLean was a soloist.
Oh, he did American Pie, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
No, you're thinking Don Henley.
Gotcha.
Don Henley was in the Eagles.
Gotcha.
No, she wrote that about Don McLean, which I thought was kind of interesting.
Very nice. She really liked his pie.
I don't think it was a real pie.
Or his pie hole.
Ugh.
She was in his pie hole. What?
You know what?
What? She liked,
shut your pie hole.
Getting her tongue in that pie.
All right. Shut your pie hole.
Don't tickle me, okay?
Pie hole.
All right. Let's get back to the movie.
What?
We don't know what Will's relationship was like with his parents.
Mm-mm.
Speculate on that.
I would imagine that they probably were not really they may have been absentee parents. Well, you know, I mean, his father was a rich guy because of one song, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, maybe they just gave him a lot of stuff and took him to all these restaurants, and maybe they were on vacation, but they never spent time with him.
Interesting.
Maybe that's why he's so detached from kids and doesn't know how to find women.
You're having fun over there with that hand there, Jaylo.
It's my container, okay? Did you stop?
I thought it was your box. All right. Sorry.
What's that?
I feel like this film, there's so many different ways we could go on it.
Mm-hmm.
But I want people to see it and experience it for themselves.
It was really funny.
And plus, right now, I'm having trouble thinking of asking more questions, even though I think this film deserves further analysis.
Yes.
Is there anything else you want to say about it?
Excuse me. I thought the music was good.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of good music in it.
Do you agree with me that it's Hugh Grant's best movie?
One of them.
Okay.
Yes. I also like Notting Hill.
I like Notting Hill too, but this is better in my opinion.
Interesting.
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
I think they were equally good.
Okay.
In my opinion.
Nice.
Yes.
There we go. Whoa.
Yes.
Yes. I don't know if there's anything else you want to say about this film.
No, I think you should all see it.
Yeah.
It's really good. And the boy who plays Nicholas was really good too.
Nicholas.
I'm sorry, not Nicholas. That was the name of the actor. The guy who played Marcus, the kid who played Marcus. I think his name was like Nicholas Hope.
Well, he's really good in this movie.
He's very good. Yes. I don't know if he's in other things, but he was really good in that movie.
So check it out, okay?
Check it out, okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
Jaylo.
Yes.
Is there anything else you wanted to talk about? Maybe any dreams?
I did have a weird dream the other night.
Tell me.
And it was weird. I don't know if you were in it too. We went to this place. I don't know if it was a church or some kind of a building, and we sat down, and not that far away from us, one of my exes was with another group of people. I thought that was very strange.
Oh.
Yeah. It was weird.
Oh.
Don't ask me why I dreamed about that, but it's weird.
I had a dream earlier this week.
Earlier this week.
I guess maybe it was this weekend's. And you were like really into me like you are in real life, except you were like this super rich Jaylo.
Okay.
And you seduced me, of course.
Okay.
And bring me back to this huge mansion.
I seduced you?
Yes.
I seduced you.
You wanted to have your way with me.
Really?
Yeah.
I seem to recall that is usually the opposite.
Well, this is my dream, babes.
Uh-huh.
What more can I tell you?
Uh-huh.
And you had invited some people I know to stay with you.
Yeah, which is strange.
Right. One of the people was the vegan I knew in Boulder, the crazy dude.
Oh.
Whose wife used to cheat on him a lot.
Right.
And he would go running back to her. Anyways.
Yeah, problems.
At one point, he goes into your room, which is really bizarrely shaped, but kind of cool. And me and him haven't spoken for years in real life. In the dream, it was the same thing. So I started confronting him, and he's just like, so get over it. And he walks out.
What kind of a shape was the room?
It was weird. It was kind of like, I don't know how I could describe it. It's, it kind of like felt like a staircase.
Oh, wow.
Like it was slanted downwards. And you and I were at one end of the staircase. Your bed was in the middle, and your dresser was at the top of it.
That is weird.
Yes.
Huh.
And it was built in such a way to where you could like look outside and upon the rest of the house.
And you thought it was super cool.
Yes. And at one point you give me a tour of your place.
Yes.
And then I woke up.
And for some reason you said I had a projection room.
Yes, you did.
Which now that you explained to me what a projection room is, I'm like, that'd be cool to have one, but I don't.
I would love to just be able to show old films in the projection room.
Yes.
And invite guests. I heard, babes, that Quentin Tarantino has a projectionist in his house. Like somebody whose job it is just to show movies whenever he wants to watch them.
Wow,
yeah.
Really?
You know that he owns his own movie theater in Los Angeles, right?
It doesn't surprise me.
I forget the name of it, but they show all these like cool movies because it's owned by him.
Mm-hmm.
So they'll have supposedly a lot of cool movies. I wish I remember the name of it, but yeah, he's super into film. Anyways, That was my dream.
I heard that in the Playboy Mansion, right?
Mhm.
I did not. I just heard about this that they do have a movie theater and there's a movie playing all the time.
We should actually talk about this.
Yeah.
So, like I said, because I can listen to anything else the last couple of days, I was re-listening to Howard Stern.
Of course.
And he was promoting his show Son of the Beach.
Yeah.
He had on Jamie Bergman, who played B.J. Cummings.
It's a weird name.
Yes.
Okay.
She apparently spent some time with Hugh Hefner.
Uh-oh.
So this interview took place in 2000.
All right.
And I'm assuming she had spent time with Hugh Hefner within the last few years.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, oh yeah, we watched Saturday Night Fever together, which is a movie from the 70s.
Yeah.
For some reason, what it made me think of, babes, is that whenever you hear about the Playboy Mansion ran by Hugh Hefner, you hear about a couple of things. One, about how great it was in the 70s when he first moved to LA, right? So there were two Playboy Mansions. There was the one in Chicago in the 60s.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yep. Okay. The one in Chicago in the 60s and early 70s. And then when he moved to LA in the early 70s until his death, right?
I didn't know that.
Yes. So what you typically hear about is the great times that were had back in those days, or how things in the Playboy Mansion up until his death pretty much looked like they did back in the 70s.
Wow.
And it made me think, so presumably in the late 90s, he was showing films to young women that were made in the 70s. In a way, I kind of think of that that must have been his last glory days, was in the late 70s. And in some ways, maybe he never left that time.
Maybe.
I don't know. I was thinking about that today.
Huh.
When I heard that interview.
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you feel about that?
I don't know. You could be right about that. I mean, he was very old when he died, so. As sleazy as I thought he was, I mean, he lived definitely a long, full life.
I would read a biography of him. Or on him.
On him.
Not on him, but, about him.
About him, okay.
Yes. I want to go to his grave and be like, it's some random biography, but I need to dig up Hugh Hefner's body.
Well, I'm reading it.
And get on top of it.
Yeah, I think they know what you meant.
Yes, good. Good.
And I did.
Yes, very good. All right, Jaylo, is there anything else you want to talk about?
No.
All right, I should probably kiss you and then go check on my phone. And then we're going to talk about what we're going to do for the rest of the evening.
And I hope y'all had a wonderful Valentine's Day.
Yes.
With whoever you did.
Whatever.
Or whatever it was. If you had any animals.
If you're into a dog.
No, not that. Not like that.
I ain't hating. It ain't my thing.
Not like that.
But it is illegal, so
cannot. Not like that.
Okay.
I meant if you have a pet dog.
Okay, good.
Or cat.
Well, give me a kiss so you can calm down. Because right now you're acting pretty sweet.
Really? I don't know. You're a pretty strange one too.
Oh, it is. All right, Jaylo, is there anything else you want to say, or are you good?
No, I think that's good.
All right, that's it. All right, everybody. Have a good rest of your day.
Bye-bye for now.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.